And we're back with the question and answer session with Space Tomato and Execute, with the info runners in general, and talking about the question and answer session of our discussion on the ships of IAE. So we're using a new system for this one, where we're doing questions in chat. We take questions from the chat, but there's a new bot that I've gotten, which is the old info runners bot, that actually pulls anytime you mention the word question in a comment, it will pull it. So I have a bunch of people asking, how do I post a question in the questions bot? So
that's the only downside to it. But
yeah.
Again, you don't have to have brackets or anything like that. Just anytime it says question, it'll come through.
So I'm going to do my best to go through it fairly carefully. And if your question is not picked up, or if I don't answer it, it's because I hate you personally. No, it's because we've got a lot of questions, and I want to respect the time of both Space Tomato and Execute in terms of what they have, because it is Saturday, and I'm sure they have a life outside of streaming.
Nonsense. I'm just going to sit here and argue online about server meshing for the rest of the day. And master modes.
I mean, I have a date with my wife after this. We're going to go watch The Substance, so I have a reason to it.
I can't handle body horror, man.
Yeah. How rude of you! It's actually Sunday, but. You know,
oh yeah, I know.
Loser.
Yeah. But you also it's the weekend, so you know.
Look what just dropped on the Paladin, by the way. 124 meters long. It's 4 meters shorter than the Carrack.
Wow. Where is this?
I just put it in the chat between us.
Oh.
And it shows where it's in the holoView and all that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the Carrack, but it's 124 meters long. That can't be a coincidence. Well, again, you take the aerial thing off the Carrack.
I really hope it's just an evolution of the Carrack and not just a Carrack with more guns on it.
Well, it's just I got told things, and I'm like, if it comes out and it's just a Carrack with guns on it, I think some people are going to be really disappointed.
Yeah.
I will be.
All right. So
we'll see.
Well, let's get through some of these questions. Feel free to jump in as you need to, and we'll move on because this is going to be more freeform. York asks, question, when do you think AI crew will be implemented? Post 1.0.
Absolutely post 1.0. Confirmed by CIG.
We have no idea when that is, though. 1.0, we've all had that discussion. I think the general consensus is somewhere between 3 and 7 years in the future is I think most people's guess ranges for 1.0.
No, so. I think it's before 2026.
Yeah, I think that CIG is planning on it being in 2026 because they want to have it. We already talked about this, Tomato.
I know. When I hear it, I get worried again.
Well, see,
cold sweats start.
I'm hoping it's like my concern about Squadron 42 actually being good. I'm hoping that I'm just overthinking these things, and I'm hoping that CIG just doesn't say anything. Just be like, hey, the next patch is 1.0. Good job, kind of thing, rather than being like, hey, 1.0 is gonna have all these things and it's gonna come out on this date. Like, no, bad CIG, stop doing this.
There is 2 ships in the files that point to the start of AI though, and there's also the jump point that they did. So I think it was the September jump point. They said expect more on AI soon, and they did a whole article on AI. Algar and I did an episode on it because he found that jump point article and we went through it. But also in the files, the Zeus ST is also shown as a passenger transport. But not only that, the E1 is in there as well.
Yeah, but those are different types of AI. What his person's asking
that's why I said this. Yeah. So what I'm trying to show though is it's the start of it. It's the rolling out of AI into Star Citizen.
Yeah, I think CIG will eventually do it. Yeah.
You said Zeus ST.
You remember that from CitizenCon? You remember that from CitizenCon last year? That was on the slides.
Yeah, it's the Zeus Space Tomato, right?
Yes.
They told me they would name a ship after they bought me a yacht, and then
you
they said they name a ship after me if I play the game. That's why I'm making these videos. What do you mean? It's supposed to.
Honey lied to you, mate.
I feel bad for Mike because they keep losing his check in the mail.
I
hear they're paying him in shares.
See,
he keeps taking him out frequently enough. That's probably the case.
He's actually the Colders. The Colders are just his business name. All right. Next question comes.
It's only a matter of time before somebody sees this and think like CIG gave it to me or something.
Yeah.
They're paying you in shares.
Steve the Dancer asks, do you feel that the Polaris, that the Polaris with its PDSs makes the first ship that you can truly solo combat missions? No. Oh God, no.
No.
Why would you try to solo a combat mission with a Polaris?
No.
Anything that is meant to challenge the Polaris enough to pay you enough to make it worth it, it's going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah.
And by their logic, they're not the only ships that have the PDS. The Phoenix now has a PDS as well.
Yeah, and I bet you the gun on the Perseus is going to be swapped to having a PDS instead of it being a. I think we'll start seeing more ships have PDSs. I wouldn't be surprised if the 600 gets a PDS, and 600 is far more soloable than the Polaris. You know,
it's a freaking big ship to solo.
Yeah,
I just want to whip out my capital ship, go on a little joyride.
The cost to just scratch that thing is like 1 million credits to repair it. The refuel is insane.
That mission that we did with Moist, the repair cost was 1.5 mil.
Yeah, like. Solo means you're not using all of the weapons effectively. So even if it's an easy combat ship, you're going to take damage.
Yeah.
All right. The next question comes from Persifal from YouTube.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah. Yep. Who asks, do you think CIG has done the correct thing by putting the IAE ships in the PTU to be tested before launch? Yes.
Yep.
They need testing. It's better for us to test them now than it is later. I mean, look how many things have changed because of that. People were complaining about it needing a size, the Intrepid needing a size 4. We got a size 4. You know, the Trauma Turtle needed a seat for the like medic. It has a seat for the medic now. Like, that would have they basically killed all the drama about that at IAE, their biggest ship sale of the year, by dealing with it ahead of time. It's perfect.
Yeah. And honestly, it still gets plenty of hype. It still works. I do wonder though if like it would be more significant for sales if they did it all at once, if they revealed it all and it all happened at once, or if that makes a difference to them.
Yeah,
just a bit of working thing there. Did you see what I did in the bot there? That's how we keep track of them. Just do that, and then you won't lose track.
The brackets?
The emojis.
Oh, the emojis.
Yeah, and X is when you don't want it red, and then thumbs up for it's done. That's how Managro do it. Yeah, but you do what you want. But that's how we keep track.
Yeah. I'll do that.
Yep.
All right, next question comes from James, who asks, do you think that the Redeemer is still worth its price tag, given that the Starlancer tax is the exact same price? No.
Yeah, Redeemer's very overpriced. What it is.
Wait, do we think it's worth its price tag?
Yeah.
No.
I think the Redeemer needs a serious overhaul. I think it's up there with the Reclaimer, in my opinion, that needs to be completely redone from scratch. Like,
the Redeemer is going to be a great like history of Star Citizen development story.
So one of the things that came up at CitizenCon is, you know how when they were talking about military ships, you cannot craft military ships. You have to go earn the patent before you can build them. That's why I think combat ships are, look, not only are they game ready straight away because they're pew-pew, but they're also going to be, you have to go out and get the patent for them. So that's why they cost so much more. We've always wondered why there was a combat tax. That's why. So that's why things like all the Perseus, the Redeemer, anything that's combat, all the fighters, they're all got a combat tax on them. And that's why, because especially like Anvil, you can't just go build an arrow. You're going to have to go do all the rep grinding to actually earn an arrow. And he does talk about that in the where he's talking about where he's got the prospector and he wants to build an arrow and completing that loop. Like you have to go out and you can't just go do it. You've got to have a patent and essentially build one because they're military.
And I will address this because someone's going to bring this up. Well, it doesn't. Why would somebody let somebody else build a ship of theirs? And I have to respond by saying, why does the Armalite allow for people to build versions of the M16 and the M4 that they didn't actually make? Because that's how weapons are always done. Weapons are not always like
What the?
What? What do you mean?
I'm sorry.
It was the cat. The cat walked past and he's just like, "What the hell is that?" It's happened like 6 times.
I saw it
in the last few times. Yeah,
Lola,
I just ignore him.
Lola is gone. Rest her soul.
Here, look, I'll help you. There you go. Look, there you go. Yeah.
But I love that you have a one brain celled orange cat. You know, you got one of the dumb ones, the dumb lovable ones.
He can hear you.
He doesn't have the brain cell right now. All orange cats share one brain cell, all of the entire planet, and they all have it at various times.
It's pretty talented.
They love him to death. But as someone who has a black cat, who is sometimes black cats are sometimes called just burnt oranges, voids. We come with burnt oranges. Like, I love Kit to death, but she's dumb. She's very stupid. I love her, but man. But love cats. Yeah, I think we've already kind of gone over that.
Sorry, you were in the middle of something and I freaked out.
Yeah. I don't even remember what I was saying. And now when you freaked out.
TAC Redeemer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So no, sort of thing. The weapons, like weapons aren't proprietary forever. Eventually, people know how to replace them, and like it's not unusual for weapons and vehicles and stuff like that those schematics to be out there. And on top of that, it's a video game. It's a completely different universe that you don't understand. So stop trying to apply 20th century logic to 29th century realities. So, hey.
I almost think too, with the removal of the size 5s, they may drop the price a little, or they're going to have to add other functionality to justify the 330. You got to remember when it came in, it was originally in a package for $265.
Yeah,
that was it's one of the most expensive ships that came in a package ever. So you add that all up, and it basically would have been $250 before concept, and that would probably be a better price for it now. Let's be honest.
So much.
But yeah,
so much for a ship like that.
I personally think that if they need to go back to concept with that, because and I think what they do is what they're doing with the Mark II Hornet and the Mark I Hornet. You go back to concept and say, we're going to redesign this whole thing entirely from scratch to make it make sense in the universe that we have now. We're going to give you an option to upgrade it or to keep your ship.
So a Mark II, or is it a
Mark II? Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest. I think you need to kind of just you can't have both. I think you've got to get rid. I think you've got to rip the Band-Aid off, and
then you're going to need to give the option for people to swap out of it, because people are going to get really
refund.
Give them
I'm going to be honest
refund for the price.
I think you need to give the option for a refund.
Yeah,
to be honest, and I don't think they'll ever do that, because it's too much money to give back.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult spot, but that ship is problematic, because let's be honest, CIG didn't make it. That's where this all stems from.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to be such an interesting look at the development, because it has been a problem since the very beginning. And it's one of those things that they did as a small company that was very like campy and into the community, and it was really cute and it was fun. It was a great game, but like now it's really messing them up 10 years down the line, and it will continue to do so for the life of this game, probably.
Yeah.
Or they can just put their foot down and redo the concept, and everyone else be damned, because again, it does say on every single web page, subject to change.
Yeah. And
so
I think they could still capture the spirit of the Redeemer, what it's designed, even keep the hair curler engines, but improve its flow, improve its design language, make it more in line with Aegis. And
we did a whole episode on this, didn't we, Paul?
Yeah.
Like it's really obvious. You've kind of essentially got to flip the decks.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I disagree with Idris, because Idris and I have had this conversation before, that they say CIG didn't make it, but they did fuck it up. I don't think it's solely CIG's fault, but CIG definitely has the blame for it, because CIG just kind of said, fuck it, and just released it, right? Rather than like sitting down and taking the time to take the idea of the Redeemer and the style of the Redeemer and then turn it into a ship that actually works as the Redeemer.
Do you think they can fix it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Worst case scenario, if you don't like what they fix it to, you melt it or upgrade it into something else.
Yeah. I think the way you fix it, we did an entire episode on this, but the rundown is, take it from being the neck that like it, that it has similar to the Hercules series and like that style, put it down. So instead of having a neck, it has a hump, and that hump is where all of the
modules are.
The modulars are, or not the modules, the living quarters and the components and stuff like that, with an airlock that you can escape in and out for that way you can like pull the modules out. And then the bottom area that's underneath that area is the actual module that you can swap out with jump seats and other things like that to make it more modular.
The other way I thought about doing it is you could actually put them side by side and just make it a shorter ship as well. But again, that's like you said, it's a complete redesign because it's a problem they inherited, and I think it's the one ship I think most people would understand why it has to change. Everyone else, they can kind of, it's out of their purview, you know. But the other thing is, like, I'm going to put this too, knowing the Paladin's there, I think a lot of people are going to upgrade.
Of course. But I think people will upgrade to the Paladin if they want to, from the Perseus, because if it looks at sounds of things, it's going to be kind of like if the Perseus and the Hammerhead had a baby. So,
well, at 124 meters, I'm now preparing for Carrack pricing.
Yeah,
this is a $600 to $700 ship all of a sudden, potentially. You got a Carrack, and then you got it's almost Carrack sized, and then you got the combat tax on top of it. Try and tell me that's not $600 to $700 now.
Yeah, easy high expenses. But I mean, like, I also don't like more expensive ships, because more expensive ships in my mind are actually bad. Not because because like, oh, well, CIG makes a lot of money. I don't think they make a lot of money off of them. I think they make more money or as much money off like the ATLS as they do like a Carrack.
Yeah, Paul can't upgrade, but that's just Paul, and that sucks to be Paul. But everyone else can upgrade.
Listen. If they actually completely reworked the Redeemer, I would almost demand out of principle that I have the only Redeemer that is the original Redeemer that is garbage, that I never pull out and never anyone gets to see. It just sits there.
Have to use it.
Can I be honest? Have you actually tried it
since for everything?
Have you tried it since the rework? It is in a very good spot right now, to be honest.
I don't
Way
fly
more
it.
nimble.
I hate it.
But again, it's changed, so I think you need to go back and have a look and say, I'd like to hear an updated complaints.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
so you can complain. That's totally fine. Well, again, it's way faster. It's way more maneuverable. I think if he's going to complain, he has to have updated complaints. So go look at it.
I have
please.
My issue with it was always that it needs to be faster, more maneuverable, but less armor.
It is.
And
it is.
But what I've heard is that it's still not fast and maneuverable enough. Like,
okay.
This is the issue. It's like it still doesn't have that edge, and it should feel like an attack helicopter. And if you've seen an attack helicopter move, those things are fast. They can fucking maneuver very fast, and they have a certain sort of je ne sais quoi as you see them flying, and that's what it should. You should look at it, and you should feel the engines throbbing in your soul when it comes over you, kind of thing.
You know the engines off the Tavara and how they kind of hover, those hover pads? Yeah. It'd be kind of cool if they actually made it so the engines can, because we've seen things where they say they can, they go down, and make it so it can never actually bottom out. It's some kind of human tech that's a version of the Tavara where it almost hovers on the ground.
You're literally
that would make that way cooler.
That you're literally describing my fan lore for the my fan canon for it, because that's literally what I said.
I was glad we're on the same page. Yeah. Great minds think alike.
We just have RSI rebuild the Nebuchadnezzar from the Matrix and call it a day.
There we go. Yeah, why not?
All right, let's move on. We've been talking about the Redeemer for far too long.
Sorry.
I think we talked about it more here than we talked in that episode.
Your favorite ship, John? It's for your favorite ship, Paul. Of course we're going to talk about it.
Shipasta asks, with the the Pioneer rework, did it become Consolidated Outland's capital ship, or was it always a capital ship?
It was always a capital.
It wasn't technically a capital, but with its increase, it's now a capital. I think it was always intended in that range, though.
It had capital components the whole time, Paul.
No, it didn't. It never had a capital component. It only recently got capital.
The redesign wasn't capital.
I need to go look at that.
Freaking huge?
The redesign does. The original one had size 3s. Size 4s was capital components. It had no capital components.
But size wise, isn't there they put like a meters reference of what a capital ship is in terms of size? Are you saying that the old one wasn't big enough?
No, I'm saying that CIG has always said that that a capital ship is made by its components. So if it has a capital component, then it's a component, then it's a capital ship. So
Okay.
like a Carrack, for instance, is a capital ship, and so is an 890 because they both have capital components.
I'll take that from components. I get you.
Yeah, it's BattleTech style design language, whereas like BattleTech they have light, medium, and heavies are based off of tonnage, not necessarily height, but tonnage.
It's only got size 4 guns as well. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I think the redesign
that's going up in price then.
Yeah,
that's going up.
It's
for
definitely
sure.
becoming up with that one. So, all right. Do you? Escape asks, do you believe the Ares could be improved with even a small bunk? No. The Ares isn't.
The Ares?
Yeah.
No, it's a fighter. It's not an internal ship.
I think the question is more like giving it like the Avenger treatment where you can like
This is like saying I should be able to take out my Hornet and go mining. No, like not every ship does everything.
Yeah.
It's designed to be a fighter. That's it.
Yeah, I mean it is. Northern Trooper asks, oh no. All right. Okay. I'm just going now. Everyone's asking like, how do I ask questions? Steve that answer asks, do you feel the component against the back wall is a major issue with the Intrepid? And do you feel the engineering screen at the rear of a single person ship is bad design choice?
No.
Why not?
Because that thing's designed to run, and as you run, you're going to get damaged, and then when you finally get away, then you can stop and repair your components. It's designed to run, not to fight.
Do we even know the full design of those engineering displays? Because original engineering display, when we're doing the testing, was mostly for things like opening doors, venting areas, and managing power. But we already have power management on the cockpit. So why would they have an engineering console on the back of a single-person ship?
I'm guessing some of the additional engineering gameplay we get, like maybe whatever the tuner is supposed to do.
You can also look and see what's wrong as well.
But could you also do that from the cockpit?
It's not a full
you don't get
MFD
the full view.
display.
Okay.
Which you could argue they could do the full view. I think it does help to leave some room open for expanded gameplay later. Not sure if we're gonna see it, but
I think we can also file out under things that we don't know.
Yeah. I think it screams, this is my first ship I've designed for Star Citizen. And if it isn't, I'd be very surprised. Either that or they're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole when it was designed. I like the Intrepid. I like what it's designed for. I like its looks because I like that sort of off-looking ships. I mean, the Corsair is one of my favorite ships, and I'm really mad that the Herald doesn't have its asymmetric style to it anymore. But I'm.
You notice how he hasn't mentioned smuggling one space? Like you're thinking it, I'm thinking it, everyone else thinking it. But
sir,
yes, we know why you like it.
It's okay. He's a professor.
I resent that remark, sir. I am an entrepreneur. Okay, what is the smuggling you speak of?
He just moves things from one place to another.
I'm in the import-export business.
There is a market for my goods, and I meet the demand for the demand. All right, I'm just
People
supplying the demand. Okay,
give them their stuff.
No taxation without
Sometimes
representation.
That stuff is a person. That's where kidnapping comes from.
I honestly, I really hope that CIG releases a mission where you have to like smuggle workers out of Hurston as a smuggling mission. Like get this person in a crate, and then like get them out of Hurston before Hurston knows what's going on.
The entirety of smuggling should be just taking Death Stranding and expanding it to a space environment. There you go.
There we go.
You're basically smuggling in that game.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think there's still a lot of questions about engineering gameplay for the back console, and I think the design in the back feels like they're making the most of what they had, or it's somebody who's still trying to figure out how things should go when they're looking at designs or how to design them. Because I think the other thing that we've all pointed out, which is as they get more budget, they become more boxes, kind of matches that aesthetic. So the idea of having, all these components in the back, it's like, that's where they can go. They just don't have any space. They have to go there. And if that's the case, that is a danger for having it, you know?
Yeah, that is rough.
There is one weird thing with that ship, and I had to think about it for a really long time. I was like, why didn't they put all the components just in the hallway? Because besides the doors, the only thing in there is a fire extinguisher.
Mhm.
And that was the thing that tipped me to it. If a fire breaks out, it's then closed off into a room.
Mhm.
Because there's nothing that can catch fire in that corridor. So you can get access to the fire extinguisher, then go into the bedroom or into the back of the ship and not be on fire. But by the same token, they could have just put the fire extinguisher in the cockpit and removed that whole corridor.
Yeah, I think
It's a bit weird.
I think those doors are compartments. Like I heard people complaining about the amount of doors between the Polaris bridge and everything else. It's like it's because it's a fucking military ship. You want to have doors to get between you and the borders. You know.
We'll also remember the cutter. It moved its internals around a lot between the variants as well. So while this one's got a corridor and a bedroom and I don't know what you call it, an engineering room or whatever, cargo area, it might vastly change in the other two variants.
All right, let's move on.
We'll have to wait and see.
Shipasta asks, we all know Paul's favorite ship is the Redeemer. What is the rest of the panel's favorite ships? Tomato?
The C1.
Okay. That's because you like Mass Effect.
That is part of it. Yes. I'm still waiting for my absolute favorite ship, and it's taken a while for me to settle on something, but I think the C1 kind of nails what I like right now.
I do like the C1.
Execute.
Yeah. Mine's been the Reclaimer for a really long time, but Polaris was my second favorite, so I'm kind of like enjoying that at the moment too. I have been having a bit of I've been flying the C1 a lot lately, like a lot. And I've been having a bit of resurgence with the Nomad too, because of I really hated on it for a very long time. Like it's a great shipping game though. The price is just terrible. So yeah.
I've gone back and forth. I think the Corsair is still my favorite ship, but I think there's two favorites. There's your favorite in terms of style and like gameplay or some sort of like practical reason, and then there's or some sort of like personal reason, and then there's the ship that's your favorite because you just end up using it all the time. And that's right. That ship for me is the Freelancer. The Freelancer series, the Max, the Miss. Like I always default to it. It's so well done because you can do so many different things, and I'm really looking forward to its update because I think it'll really shine with its
I think with the update it will become a favorite. I prefer the Freelancer Max over the CL, to be honest with you.
Definitely. I got the CL and I was super mad about it. And I'm like, this is worse than my Freelancer Max. I feel like I get more stuff in my Freelancer Max than I can in this. And so I upgraded it to the Starlancer Max because I'm just like, fine. I'm done with you. They got me.
That was their plan.
Yeah. Who is the target demographic for this ship that nobody asked for? Me. It's me. I am the target demographic. It's built for me.
I like the Freelancer. I can't wait to see that come up. I think something I really want to see is like a competitor to either the Constellation or like 600 size in terms of a ship from Crusader.
Oh yeah. Or Consolidated.
That's what I'd really like to see.
Consolidated Outland. I'd like to see them expanding a lot more too.
Yeah, mid-size ship. Yeah, that would be cool.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that.
Is it in the files?
No, it's in the Blue Silhouette video.
Oh, right.
I am pretty sure that is a medium Consolidated Outland. I'll send it to you. Hold on.
Okay.
It looks like the Mako from Mass Effect to me.
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
Yeah,
this one here,
the shuttle.
So if I don't know if you can pull that up on the screen.
I'm sorry, not the Mako. The no.
The shuttle.
What's the other one called? Yeah, the shuttle. What's that called?
I forgot the name of it.
Mass
Effect 2 has a name.
Crouch jump.
They call it the whole damn time. They call it all the time, but
Yeah. So if you look at the lights on this thing and the stairs have the same triangles. You got to remember it's on a 45-degree angle because of the way they park the ships. I think they deliberately do that to make it harder to see. But basically, it's got. If you look at the Pioneer concept stuff from CitizenCon, it had all these triangles in all the brackets and stuff, and it has the same three. It has three triangles on the stairs going up. The lights on this are all hexagons, like on the Mustang and the Nomad. And then at the back, there's a back leg when you change the levels in Photoshop backwards and forwards. There's a back leg on the back right-hand side that you can't see clearly in the image. But it looks like it's ripped off the Mustang.
While you're doing this, I'm gonna do this. Save image, just so people understand what we're talking about. Because right now they have no idea.
They're gonna be like the 2 and carry the 6 and 1.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
What is X talking about? And it's this.
Yeah.
This ship is what he's talking about as Consolidated Outland. I still
the
think this
hardest,
is just the Intrepid, but we'll see.
Well, the hardest thing to see is the leg. It's near the gas
front,
tank there, but there's a black little leg that goes down there. You can see the triangles I'm talking about in the little ladder. And then again, there's 4 little lights and they're all hexagons. It's also got big sloping panels like the Nomad and the Mustang. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It almost looks like one of the stairs you'd get on up to like a Learjet instead of a ladder.
Yeah.
Well, again, the Nomad has a similar ladder. Again, they're working on the Pioneer. Why the hell wouldn't they work on a smaller ship? You know? And then what we thought of is we now know it makes vehicles. So this is a ship, because it's really low to the ground, it could deliver vehicles.
Yeah.
It's the vehicle delivery and cargo resupply ship for the Pioneer.
I can see
It's
it.
a bit small for my taste.
Yeah, it's a
medium.
Yeah.
Though it is medium.
I think the medium comes from its length, not necessarily its height.
Would that even be medium? Yeah, it even seems kind of short. It looks like 25, 30 meters maybe.
It's a step up from the Nomad.
If you look
it becomes medium.
If you look at the person in the background, I think honestly though, I think CIG threw those people silhouettes in there to fuck up our perceptives, because I think some of them are way behind the ship. I think they did that intentionally.
They learned that after last year
to screw with our sense of perception. Like, because like some of them which are like oh, this looks like a tiny ship, and it's like there's no way this is a tiny ship. Like, this is a huge ship. So, and then
you can use the ladder in that one to work out roughly how big it is.
Yeah. All right.
Because you can see the number of steps on it and stuff like that. So yeah.
Anyway. Sorry. Moving on. Next question comes from Northern Trooper, who asks, at what point does the manufacturer design get in the way of functionality in game? Or is that CIG is not learning from the customer feedback on previous designs? Looking at you, Starlancer dashboard.
They redid the Starlancer dashboard.
Did they?
Yeah.
They just make it smaller or something like that?
They moved the radar from in the middle between the two and put it in front of the thing. They've changed it.
Okay.
It was on Reddit yesterday.
Okay. So the answer is they of course they learned from it. I think the thing is that CIG isn't slavishly like attached to style. I think style is what determines what ship they're doing. So like if they're doing like a
No, that's not true. Gameplay determines what they're doing.
That's what I mean. The gameplay determines the style. So
yes, that I'll agree with you.
So like if you're doing a base building ship, you're probably going to look at the industrial manufacturers first, and then you're going to figure out which industrial manufacturer fits it the most. And then if it works, it works. And if you need to change something around and make it new, they can just justify it later. As long as it looks like a MISC ship, it doesn't matter if it's actually a MISC ship. Look at the Prospector. The Prospector looks nothing like the Freelancer, but it does still have that big cockpit and all that kind of stuff. So
I think it's definitely they apply the styling to the ship. They don't apply the ship they need to the styling.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think they just with the Starlancer, it's more of those. They were like the Max and the TAC are very. We already built this. What else can we do with it? Sort of approach. Or we're already going to do this. Let's make more than one, because why not? Let's have fun. Because CIG is also very much in the realm of we're here to have fun. We're here to make video games because it's fun, and we're artists, so we're going to make art. That's their mentality. So
the rule of cool seemed to determine everything, to be honest. Like they like cool ideas and stuff like that, and they just kind of that comes first, and fun and all that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then they put the law on, and then they try and make it fit a manufacturer and all that type of thing. Can I tell you something really weird, actually, that will kind of tell you where it was on? You know the UFO ship that they wanted to do for the Argo?
Yeah.
That all came out of the fact that the Argo logo is a circle.
So is the Anvil logo. It's got a circle in it, and circle is its main
exactly
thing.
what I said to them.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said to them.
It's literally in their backstory of why all Anvil ships have a circle on them is because it's the reason why why every Anvil ship has the Anvil logo built into its design because
and they want to make a big one of it, and I kept saying, well, why don't you just do a starter of it? You're probably more likely to get it past Chris if it's just a small little round UFO.
Yeah.
So again, you got the MPUV that's a snub. You don't have the starter or an advanced starter. One of those could be the UFO. And it would work and I said, what if you make it so when it lands, it like splits in half or something and then lands? So they're a part of the wing system or something like that. You're more likely to get away with it. And I all of a sudden, like talking to them, you could understand it wasn't just Paul Jones. It was all of them that wanted to do it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next question, which is, and I will address this because someone's talking about the depth of the dashboard. CIG could have removed that dashboard. They chose not to. That's not because they think it's a bad that they dislike it. They actually have that dashboard on the Freelancer and the whole series. Both of them have that same dashboard. It's because the designer who built the Starlancer also built the whole series. He likes it. That's why he put it in there. That is an intentional design choice by that designer because he also built other MISC ships and enjoys that style. So
it would be kind of cool if he actually could have, he got the holographic dash. It was almost like a holographic MFD, so you could choose which one you wanted, or like rearrange or something like that. Maybe in the future, I don't know. Throwing ideas out there.
I think it's fine where it is. I think also having people like with the Intrepid, having people who just don't like things is okay. Yeah, it's okay to not like parts. Yeah,
it is.
Someone in chat just mentioned the cutter, and you remember my whole thing about last year with the Rambler and all that, and then John told me that the name cutter is too cool. So we're talking with me and Argrid and him and Ben were all talking about that, and I said, well, look, I've got a new name for it because it goes into other ships and kind of like pulls all the pieces out and all the components out. You call it the gutter.
The gutter.
And he laughed at that one. Yeah.
I still think it's an ATLS variant. The cutter, it's not going to be called the cutter, but it's going to be called something like the CTR.
That's why I came. Yeah,
the CUTR. Yeah, and it's going to be, it's going to be like an Argo EVA.
I think version. It needs to be Drake. I think it needs to be a Drake exosuit, and it basically has like a little thing that it connects to. That's all these containers to hold all the different things, and it's like a little, almost like you have the exosuit, but it's got like a little trailer that stands on it, and it just pulls it back to the reclaimer. That's how I would have done it. But he reckons it's most likely going to be a drone.
Okay.
Yeah.
North Peak asks, what do you think the Pioneer after its updates, like the drilling platforms built into the landing gear?
I think it's become a behemoth. It's essentially gone from, as you kind of said before, it's gone from a large ship to a capital ship.
I think it's
20% size increase.
I think it's an example of CIG's new design or new direction when it comes to developing the game. That started because of why am I blanking on his name? Who left Squadron because they finished up Squadron and moved over to Star Citizen. The new
Richard Tyra.
Rich Tyra.
Tyra. Yeah.
Rich's vision for how Star Citizen is going to direct is his gameplay perspective, I should say. Because saying Rich's vision, people like, but I bought this for Chris Roberts. Rich is in charge of the direction, just like Todd Pappy was in charge of the direction. Like it's that. I think Rich's vision specifically is more about MMOs. How do I make this an MMO? And
the other dev said he plays a lot of MMOs and he's a min-maxer.
Yeah.
So he knows his stuff.
The idea of making a Pioneer a one-stop shop for a lot of stuff and just being like, let's just put in a mineral extractor in the foot, because he's thinking like an MMO player would, which is like, how am I going to be able, or like an MMO designer would, which is like, how am I going to get this functionality? Well, the players don't actually have to see it happening. I can just say it's happening and throw it in there. And so it's more of telling a story or showing the gameplay without actually having to show the gameplay. It's why are we working smarter rather than harder, and focusing on the actual gameplay of it rather than focusing on the like aesthetics of it. So the original concept didn't even have landing gear. Oh, did it not? I didn't even know that.
What?
No, it
didn't it land in the trailer?
Yeah, it has landing gear.
Okay. What do you think, Space Meadow?
I think it says a lot about what they, I guess, it says a lot about the ship. Like this could be an easy way to overpower the ship to have it be able to do building and extracting. You're able to just sit there and churn out whatever you want from this ship without it moving.
Mhm.
How does that balance its ability to get in danger? I mean, the entire design behind the ship before was like you'd build them in the place you're physically going to place them. If the case now is that you can just send drones over to place them, and you can extract stuff from the ship, and you can land your vehicle inside of it and your ground vehicles and all of that stuff. This is literally a base that can move. The old Pioneer was a base in the sense that like it had all the things to keep it sustainable. This is an actual base. This is a factory. Um, you can essentially get anywhere and set up shop as you'd please. You can land like this. This almost treats Star Citizen like an RTS. You can just hop around with a Pioneer and a group of like 50 people, go into different moons and planets and systems that are entirely unclaimed, and just start laying down little military outposts. Not that, this is that would probably get too much too fast, and you
Yeah.
can't really actually handle that as a group of people. But theoretically, that's what this ship allows now. And it's kind of crazy. I do wonder though if those extractors are going to be a lower grade than what would be on, say, a dedicated extraction vehicle.
Yeah.
Now that they
Yeah.
are
The
just like
drillers.
second-hand drills built into the landing gear, you don't really want that to be the absolute best you can get. Just
I think
continues
you
to
hit on another
bloat
point
the
there
ship.
too, Space, is just how much resources this thing's going to be fed, because it doesn't collect the resources itself other than those extractors. You talk about building a city, but like they're all bringing it to that for it to build the city. You need other ships feeding that thing, and it's the same
Yeah.
thing with the space station. They're all going to be fed. The beast has to be fed.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you also need, you still need, like, obviously, if you're doing anything else in terms of money, you need cargo haulers to take that stuff out. You need miners, or sorry, refiners to refine those minerals. And like, you can't find the stuff yourself. You need explorers. So there's definitely parts missing. But as far as productivity levels go, it's like a base.
Just
It's
like
pretty crazy.
the Polaris. The Polaris is a
Yeah.
mobile base. Same with
Yeah.
the I'm trying to think of the other things. Like I'm sure that's where the Band Immersion's going to go. It's going to be that sort of mobile home that you live on, because especially even in lore, it's like where Sully's headquarters are usually just a Band Immersion, so they're going to lean into that, and that's again the direction of Star Citizen, where the gameplay is going to take not just more focus, but the gameplay is going to be the the point. So it's like, oh well, like you buy a ship because it's pretty and stuff like that, but you keep it because you play with it. The freelancer effect. The freelancer is good. It's kind of old, outdated, but damn, is it fucking useful for everything you need to do. Same with like the C1. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's good. You can do it for a lot of stuff. That overall.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Shimpasta asks, for Tomato, you don't always buy a CIG ship, but if you did, what would it be and look like, etc.? What? For Tomato.
He doesn't buy a lot of
Like,
ships.
what would it be and look like? Like what ship would I buy?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if we're gonna be like, I'll do one that's like way out of left field. In another life, I would buy an Odyssey.
Hmm.
That's a pretty exciting ship. It's the one that feels closest to Prometheus in terms of any fiction I can think of.
Yeah, I can see that.
That
I'll say
one
that.
gives me the most vibes. Yeah, and it feels like it kind of fits the role a little bit. And
Yeah.
it's the one MISC ship that I think I really enjoy. But in terms of like the perfect idea of a ship, I think I said it earlier in this show. It would be like a mid-sized Crusader ship. I think is really what I'm starting to close in on. I like the ships that are around 30 to 40 meters in length, and that's where I'm always going to probably land. But in terms of a ship that like I really want to see, and I'd totally pick up to hang out with me and my friends, it'd be like something mid-size from Crusader, maybe like
How would
600 eye size.
how would you feel about a mid-sized Mirai ship?
I don't know. I don't know what to think of Mirai. So far, their stuff hasn't really interested me, and I'm still not convinced about the whole changing of the brand for those ships. But I'm interested in seeing what they do, and like the whatever it is that we saw in the silhouette video this year looked pretty cool. So if that's the Mirai ship, then I might be more interested after that comes out.
I wonder what you'll be like with like a medium science ship, because I'm just thinking of what you said about the Odyssey. I'm wondering if that might be a bit appealing to you as well, like some science thing, when because they're not there. Obviously, we've got the Sen and the Endeavour, but we don't have the large or the medium. So
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe down the line. Yeah.
Whatever that like Normandy feeling ship is. It's always weird because the Normandy is way bigger than you think it is.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, in the fiction, they talk about how small it is because it's like it's a tiny ship compared to like
Compared to the warships and stuff.
but it's got the same power as a warship. So that's the whole like its whole appeal. But like even if you look at it, it's like it's small. When you look at it when it's docked in some of those stations where you can see the whole thing, it's like holy shit!
You're like,
this
wait
thing's
a
huge.
second. Yeah,
It's the size of an Idris. Like it's huge.
It's so big.
All right. Escape asks, which is better, Ghost or Tracker? I think it just depends on what you need it for.
Yeah, they're different for different things. One's like up close and in your face and trying to hide. The other one's trying to find you at range. So they're kind of both different versions of scout ships in a weird type of way.
Mm-hmm. I think right now, if you're talking about it right now, the Ghost is probably better because there's at least some stealth functionality that'll help you stay off of radar. So when you get close, it's harder to see. Whereas the Tracker literally has no purpose. There's no you don't have better radar because of it right now. But
once the scanners come in, that may change. But I think the Tracker will probably be more niche too. You'll probably need one in a squad where you could probably have 2 or 3 ghosts because again they fan out. So I don't know. It's going to speak to different people, but again, espionage is going to have to be your thing, or command and control. It's not cut and dry either. Like they've all got a place, and that's the cool part about it.
I have a series of several questions of Gin and Tonic just going, how do I ask questions? How do we ask questions now? Exclamation point questions. AstroPub. Well, the pub coins or questions are off on purpose. And finally someone being like, you just put it in question in brackets. And so Gin finally asked a question. Don't you think there will be a ground vehicle that will be better LTI token than the Intrepid? I've been hearing people talking about a ground vehicle being sold this IAE, but I haven't seen any evidence of it. Do you all see anything?
Either have I.
I haven't seen anything.
The only thing that was found in the files was that I can send that to you as well, because that was also found in the file, which was the Grey Cat CSV, which is some kind of tumbrel looking tank thing, and it was in the blue silhouette video. Hang on, let me just find it.
Oh yeah. The one that looks like the one that looks like the actually looks like the what is it? The Mass Effect.
So apparently it's got missile in the code. It has missiles on it. So essentially,
the Mako.
Yeah. So it's that one there. And I don't know if it's tracked or whatever, but you can clearly see there's some kind of door at the back, so it's back entry.
Yeah. I thought this might be the fabled marine assault vehicle, which was what the Ursa was based off of, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that still. Because I'm a big sucker for
But by the same token, there are other things in the files. There are so many ships in the files at the moment. Like if they sell them all, I just don't understand how they don't tread on each other sales wise.
I don't understand what the heck happened to the G12, man.
It
was in production at one point.
Just like the Genesis Starliner, CIG's forgotten about it.
It's probably one of those
production. They were working on it.
Remember they
quit because they continually forgot about the G12. It's kind of like an SAP. The G12 is an SAP where like no one remembers it, and so the guy who was working on it was like completely forgotten because he was connected to it. So like his wife left him.
He just stopped showing up. Nobody noticed.
Yeah.
Remember they only worked on the X1. They had the free time. It's probably the same thing. So he's probably working in another team at the moment, and then when he's got free time, he'll go back to the G12.
Yeah. I just think there's no excuse for it. Like it is. It's
Origin. It can wait.
The function is in. They already have luxury rovers. It's just a small thing. Just knock it out. Like
it's
been in there
unique.
forever.
Like
just take the weekend off. Just take the weekend off. Knock it out. Yeah, it's just so easy.
No, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying they need to prioritize it. They need to prioritize it in comparison to other ships because they already.
But what
sold
do you
it for
get
money.
for it?
You get a
Yeah, but
completed vehicle.
More off the backlog, man.
Yeah.
I guess.
Deliver the stuff.
But I think
sold.
I think there's some bigger things that are more important. I don't know. I had the discussion became really clear. Like all those things we theorized in the group about, like the order they do things,
Mhm.
and it's all tied to gameplay. It's so obvious now it's tied to gameplay. And again, when the G12 comes around, like so once they get into the ground warfare and that they need the AA missile stuff, and they want a racing variant, and they want the G12 will come around again. They need that ground warfare stuff more.
Yep.
And once they get there, that's when I reckon we'll see the G12.
No, I know. It'd be nice to get it off the back end. I understand why they may not want to do it because they also have to go back and redo the like ground vehicle. They're still working on the ground vehicle changes that they need to do.
Still iterating on that.
Well,
what's the other one? The bike that rides on the ground.
The Ranger.
The Ranger. That we saw that on an ISC like 9 months ago. Someone was working on that, and that's still not out either. So
I don't think they've.
I don't know that they mentioned that at all.
No. It was in the background of an ISC. You could see it in the background.
Really?
It was real pixelated. You had to zoom in, but it was definitely the Ranger, and it was definitely moving. So yeah.
All right. Let's move on to the next question, which is, So Jin was asking if is better than LTI token than the Intrepid. Yes, a ground vehicle would be better.
Sorry, someone's at my door. Hang on, I'll be back.
Okay. Don't answer doors.
It's Chris.
I never answer doors. If I'm not expecting someone to come to my door and someone's at my door, I'm not answering the door. I don't know who the fuck you are.
Even if I'm expecting somebody to be at the door, I'm sorry, I'm not here.
Yeah.
Oh, I told you to come. No, I didn't.
The ground vehicles, I think they would be better LTI tokens, but we just don't have any evidence that an LTI token ground vehicle would be available. They're making it right now.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Percival asks, do you think CIG done the correct thing by putting the IA ships? Oh, we already answered that question earlier, so we're good. Jinitak asks a question: Medipin or Trauma Turtle? Trauma Turtle. It's Trauma Turtle, not Medipen. Medipen is like, are we CIG now? Do we as the community, are we that creatively bankrupt that we need to start naming the same thing twice, used in the same name for two different things?
I'm sorry. I put it in a video and I feel like I have to stand by it now.
It's Trauma Turtle.
I was saying yesterday, if it is a character variant, it needs to be the character liberator. Because I've done that twice already, so let's do it again. Dear.
All right. Because the TT Trauma Turtle works because it's just short as TT. Get to the TT, you know.
The Trauma Turtle probably would have ended up being.
Ash Morris asks, when are we gonna actually data run so my MSR has a purpose? Data running should be easy to implement. Should be and is are completely different things. We didn't even have the back end support for something like data running until 3.22 or 2.23, when the one that was in this spring, because like we didn't have map support. It's now finally there. So it's more that CIG needs to figure out what that gameplay looks like before they start developing it. And it's not just, oh, well, it's moving information from point A to point B. It's like, yeah, but how does that interact with cargo, scanning, repair, salvage? All of these other mechanics have to be taken into account when you're building this one out, because it's not just take thing point A to point B. It's take thing that then has an impact on all of these other aspects. Like, how much is data that is being data run worth on the market if you salvage it?
Can you imagine what the start of it could be like? It's literally like an invisible cargo tier 0. So you land in your hangar, you go, I've just brought 50 gigabyte of data. Cool, it's on my ship. I then fly from station A to station B, and then I sell invisible data by uploading it.
Yeah.
That is literally, they could do that pretty easily, but God, it would be boring because there's no box unloading, no nothing. Yeah, it's just cargo going. That's the initial part of it, but it's all the other stuff that comes in, the e-warfare, trying to be hacked and all that stuff. So I think you kind of need the Legionnaire would be, because we know that's tied to hacking. I think it'll be after hacking.
I think it's like bounty hunting. Like data running is like bounty hunting, where bounty hunting requires like the restraint system. It requires like better tracking and like scanning technology, like that sort of system. It requires the actual like pods to work properly to use the actual pods. And like they're going to replace the pods inside the Avenger Stalker, because those are the old pods. They need to have the new versions that they have in the blue. Like there's just a ton of things like that. So
I think
good.
I think that there's two sides to this. First, there is, well, I guess it's just one side. The idea that data running, like kind of like you said, it ties into a lot of stuff. So data running depends on a lot of things. In order for data to really matter, they needed to start to get the archetypes of actual things in the game figured out. And we can tell from just the fact that like earlier this year, they started turning points of interest into, I think, sinks, supply producers and consumers of resources. In this last economy pass, they started to, I think, change the way that locations, God, I can't even remember, but you can see over the last year, they've started to do things that sort of characterize or categorize what things are in the game. And I feel like data running is probably something that depends highly on that, because when you scan a planetary surface, you probably need to have the ability to save the fact that you found a river, or the fact that you found a cave, or the fact you found a mining outpost, and use that data to then upload somewhere else or store. And that's the kind of stuff that they probably haven't been able to have until they've actually had those locations figured out, which we're just now seeing. However, the only thing that they need really to make data running viable is data points. And we have data points already in local environments. So as soon as we can get them in space or planetary environments and we can share those amongst one another, then we have data running and we have exploration. You can make money off those things, and they're not going to have missions spawn for them, but sandbox wise, that kind of makes it a thing, and that could happen within a couple of updates.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, we've got Sandgripper asks, here's a question. Ignoring size, will the Polaris be a better balanced ship for use perspective compared to the Idris? It'll be cheaper.
Yeah, that'd be cheaper to run.
I think it's just scale. Like less people with the Polaris, but with the Idris, you also unlock better tiers of. It's got tier 1 medical beds. It's got more like crew quarters. It has like a rail gun, or at least a mount for a rail gun, size 9. So its guns are better. It has space for at least 2, if not even more. I'm sure you could like store probably 10, combat or even just like small ships in that hangar bay. There's just a lot of stuff you can do. So I don't think it'll be better. I think it'll just be better for the scale of smaller groups. What do you think? Execute.
Sorry, I missed that question. I was answering the chat. What was the question?
The question was, I'll read it again.
See, I really need to pay attention. Sorry.
Ignoring size, will the Polaris be a better balanced ship for a use perspective compared to the Idris?
Well, I think the Polaris is going to be more popular because it's smaller, so more people can use it.
So and I think this thing, he says ignoring size. I think if ignoring size, the answer is no.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as soon as you bring size in, like people are a resource, like that's why the more people you have, that you get bigger rewards in other MMOs and stuff like that, because you could have people working together. It's more effort to get everyone together. So yeah.
Okay. All right. We've got a handful of questions left, so we'll get through this pretty quickly. Susan Joel asks, have they described the respawn range of a tier 1 bed? So this is where I'm going to hop in and say, there is no range. We're not talking about range. When you have a respawn regen, there is no range limit. You can go as far as you need to. You can go to different systems with regen. The way they described the lore behind it is clearly what they decided with the gameplay team when they were working on it. And the way the lore is described is you can be in multiple system jumps away and still regen in the bed that you imprinted on 3 systems
I thought
away.
they changed it in 323.
Have they changed that?
Yeah, I thought they made certain beds have a range. Tier 3 beds, you could only respawn from a certain range. And tier 2 beds,
that's
longer,
the first.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard about that.
Maybe I'm misremembering. Chat, can you throw me a line? Is that true? Is that a thing? Anybody? Somebody? Bueller?
I think that was something that they're talking about it. But like as an idea for balancing it, but I don't think it was ever said it was specifically, that changed with the release of NERSA.
Yeah, tier 3, 20 kilometers, tier 2, 50 kilometers. Not sure about tier 1.
Okay.
I think that should be a little bit further for tier 2.
Yeah. The range is legit. Okay.
300 kilometers maybe.
So did they mention that?
Did they? I'm sorry.
Hold on. I got to deal with this because X is having an argument in chat with Jin.
Argument in chat.
There's someone insulting me in chat, and I'm being distracted by it. So I just said the conversation's over.
Insults are not necessary.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a link to that as well? Because I do want to know that. Because now I'm remembering them saying something about that too, about how there was going to be some range to it. Because if the answer is they'd already have that answer with the range for tier 1.
I don't even know if tier 1 has a range. I think it was just all the time.
I think it was tier 1 was as far as you can possibly, or was really far, and then tier 2 went less, and tier 1 was only like 20 Ks. It really dropped down a lot. I'll have to go find the post again. Yeah.
So the answer is they probably haven't, but based off of the discussions with with lore, the idea is that the thing that matters is distance, but in distance in the sense of your corruption of your imprint. So like if you're 3 systems away, you can still regen out of tier 1 bed, but there's going to be some consequences to that in your IVS score and other things.
Okay, so I've got it here. Tier 1 is infinite, tier 2 is 50 Ks, and tier 3 is 20 K.
Okay.
And there's also apparently timer differences as well. Yeah. So it's like you can respawn instantly on tier 1, 2 to 4 minutes, and then medium treatment's 30-second timer, and then tier 3 is 4 to 8 minutes. So so it's just not just distance, but it's also speed.
What if you die out of range of that bed as a tier 3? You always have you're always automatically imprinted on a tier 1 bed at your home location.
Yeah.
And that's also something they mentioned in lore, where it's like if your imprint is destroyed, then it'll default back to the last imprint you had. And so it'll always bounce. The only way that changes is if your IVS score gets too bad. So
I think C-Daddy might have posted them there as well.
Yeah, C-Daddy posted the patch notes.
Yeah. Cool.
So.
I found it on Reddit, but yeah, thank you, C-Daddy.
So, the distance is bugged, so all beds are infinite right now. Yeah, but I mean, the question was more specifically about tier 1, and the answer is that it's always going to be infinite based off of their design choices for how regen's supposed to work.
And I guess that's their way of being like, okay, we're going to let any bed have a regen. We're just going to gate how well they can do, and it feels like that's what they're doing for a lot of different things. Instead of doing a complete pass and a complete fail for certain things, they're doing like you can completely pass and then you can fail at certain levels, but we'll always like we'll save you. It's like I'm guessing that's how Death of a Spaceman is going to be. Like the whole, you're not actually going to lose your character permanently. We'll figure something else out.
The thing that I constantly get into, like, I think a lot of people misunderstand how the Death of the Spaceman is supposed to work, is you're not supposed to die the way you do now. You're supposed to, like, at all. So not only with bugs, but in general, you're supposed to be downed a lot more. So there's a lot more of a, like, And if you say, oh, well, I'm down and it's going to be 20 minutes before someone gets to me, I'm just going to backspace express back to where I need to go and then come back and recover my body. CIG will punish you for that with Death of a Spaceman. So you don't do that, so that you don't die as much, so it doesn't hurt as much. And they're also going to be super like flexible with your IVS score, because when you die in regen, it's not like you're a brand new character. You're still the same character. You just have a score that you have to keep track of how that goes down. CIG is not going to two-shot you with your characters. They're gonna make it so it's practically impossible for you to die without you knowing you're going to die. Like, they want to make it so that you have that threat everywhere. So, all right. Next question. Well, one. The Paladin and wording is turrets and ordnance. Does ordnance mean missiles, size 5 torps, or railgun? Probably missiles would be my guess. Yeah. Monster Ivy asks questions. Thoughts on if they have to do another LTI game package with the Intrepid? Yes, they're going to do an LTI game package. If it's a starter ship, they'll do an LTI game package, like they did with the Reliance and the 100 series, and yeah, 100%. Do y'all think that they won't have an LTI game package with it?
I think they will. I'll see if I have something to melt for it, because I would take that over other starters.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
might be what we do for our giveaways.
It's going to be Warbond almost certainly. Like, you can't buy it. You won't be able to get it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true.
All right. Crystal King asks, do any of you think do you think that there will be problems integrating server meshing with ray tracing? If the sun is one server and the player is further out, might we see a lot of bugs with pathing? Some, but that's not how server meshing works.
Yeah, I don't think rendering really has a problem over servers.
No, because the data is being transferred over to the servers, and then the data is just transferred from where you are, from where the light's coming in, or something to that effect. Like, the problem isn't the data being handed off between servers, because it's all that light is just the data that's reaching there. The problem is players moving between those two and doing so seamlessly, that handoff being smooth. But light as data being reflected off of a star to you on a planet is just a data stream. That's all it is. And they don't have to hide the handoff. It can be as janky as possible. So you might have some artifacting and weird stuff, but it's not nearly as complicated as a ship. All right. Redemon asks, with the Wave 4.0, the 4.0 Wave 1 EPTU is currently only US server. Will it move to EU and OS and Asia soon? I don't think they typically do that. They tend to stick to just one server, maybe two for PTU.
But for Evo, and then PTU sometimes goes Europe and America.
Yeah, almost rarely does it go to OS and Asia at the same time, though. So.
It's as the numbers go up, basically, they diversify it out. Yeah.
All right. Do you think we will see or get a hint about the Carix modules?
No.
Not soon.
So again, there's two ships that were redone on the website. One of them was the Carrack, the other was the Orion. And I think what they might be doing, and you're the marketing guy out of us here, Paul, so you tell me if this sounds good or bad. But remember what they did with the 600i, and it essentially made all the sales go up with the rework concept.
Discussions, yeah.
Yeah, so if they do it doesn't mean it's a rework coming for the Carrack, but what if it's a discussion around the Orion and the Carrack to revitalize the sales on those two?
Probably.
That would be the third time we've gotten a big update on the Orion with it nowhere near coming out.
I don't think
how long's it been since we got one? What was it? 2017 was the last one?
Arastra.
Yeah.
Arastra was the last time.
Yeah, did they do a good talk on the Orion back then? During the Arastra?
Yeah, they did. They talked about how it was a stepping stone and like what they were planning on doing it, and how the Arastra is teaching them a lot of stuff. So I do think that they'll probably do it with the Carrack, because we actually do know that Dan is Dan M. I can't remember his last name, but he was the one who worked on the Fury.
Yeah, he's redoing the shell thing. He's
completely working on that, and I think because the Trauma Turtle has the similar sort of armor,
and that works now,
and it works. I think that he just took that animation, that stuff, and then has been playing with it to work it for the Carrack.
Is that Dan McCabe?
Dan McCabe, yeah. Dan McCabe.
I did see him, but I saw him at CitizenCon, but I'm like, I know that guy, but I don't know his name.
Yeah.
Dan as McCabe, he walked past me, yeah.
Dan McCabe is I think him working on that tells me that they're probably working on the Carrack. But again, the only reason why they'd be working on the Carrack is because they're also working on the Paladin and the other like Anvil ships. So I think it's more likely we'll see an update on those when we get closer to the release of the Paladin, and when we'll see like updates on the Carrack and those things like that.
Just theorizing here, the onboarding task for Ghost, the tracker, and the Terrapin, it kind of sounds like it's rolling up at Anvil a little bit, or a little bit in practice for more rollout. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that. I think that Anvil is the third after the RSI. I think once the teams who finish up their RSI, like they don't nearly need as many people for the Perseus as they needed the Polaris. So the team, once they wrap fully on the Polaris, that team will move on to the Perseus, and then some of them will move on to other teams. Probably my guess would be like the Ironclad, and then that sort of thing. So like they'll start spreading out the work a little bit more, and so we'll see a lot faster turnaround, because CIG is definitely hitting that sweet spot where like capital ships are not the thing they need to work on. Capital ships don't work for them very well. The sweet spot for them is the 100 to 250 meter long ships, which are big and difficult, but don't take nearly as much time and effort as a Polaris does. So,
why do you think that is?
Because it's do you remember? There's an old discussion from the Halo community. I remember this a long time ago, where people asked for the Bungie to make bigger games. Like Big Team Battle was 8 versus 8, right? 16 players. And they asked Bungie, hey, could you do Battlefield, where you have like 32 versus 32? And Bungie's like, yeah, that's entirely possible for us to do. But it doesn't make any sense for it, because once you start getting to that size, you don't feel like you have an impact on a game of Halo like that. And I think that's really where it comes down to, is that CIG has learned that the optimal party size that they want to go for is in series of 1, 2, 4, 6, 9, or 8 or 9, and then 12. Those are the kind of variants that they're going to work with. So they're building gameplay for those sorts of numbers.
So you're talking efficiency as opposed to like difficult. I thought you were saying there's like a significant step up in difficulty making a ship that's 300 meters versus 220.
Because it's just more work. It's just more space. When you build a 300 meter ship versus a 150 meter ship, it's twice the size. I think when you get above 150, it starts to become a little bit more difficult, because 150 is about the size. It's a little bit bigger than the Hammerhead, and the Hammerhead is fairly organized when you look at it. It's mostly corridors and other things, but even if it's size, even if you filled in all those spaces, it's like 5-6 rooms plus a couple things. Whereas when you look at the Polaris, when you start getting bigger than 150 range, you're starting to look at like 7, 8, 9, 10 rooms. And those rooms each need to have their own lighting pass. They need to be designed properly. They need to have a purpose. And when you the Polaris has a bunch of space that's just not utilized. It's not efficient in its utilization of space, because they had more space than they had. There was more space for them to use than a need for it. So they're like if you look at the medical bay has a bunch of space that's just empty, because they wanted to mirror the look on either side of the bridge and the medical bay. Like, why do you need a person sitting in front of a desk at a medical bay? Like, that doesn't make any sense, but it's because they have it for the other side, and they just wanted to make it easier. So and it leads to that sort of thing. There's not like a specific hard number, but the reason why I say 150 is because that's about what the Carrack, between the Hammerhead and the Carrack sort of range, and that seems to be where efficiency in terms of player gameplay, and then also in terms of like how many people have to work on this ship becomes a problem. So
it was interesting to see how much the ship team had grown too, because essentially they've gone from 28 to 52 in a year, so they grew by 24. And that now having the 2 ship teams, one in Montreal and one in Manchester, that probably means they only grew by 12 each, or I'm
Yeah.
guessing. But
Well, I'm sure there's at least one person in LA and Austin, even though they're not the main focus of that anymore. I'm sure some of them still exist.
no,
No,
No.
are they all Manchester? And
No. I've got things to tell you. Remember, I told you I got
Yeah.
stuff to tell you. No,
yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll type this in chat, but don't react. Oh,
Okay.
To you guys.
All right, let's move on to the next question.
Oh my gosh, Execute, are you serious? What?
I haven't hit enter yet, dickhead.
I was gonna say, like you can't just tell us the release date of 1.0 like that.
Read it now and tell me if it's not going to shock you.
No, that makes sense.
He just sent us pictures of his toes, guys. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
They're pico toes. It's totally fine.
Escape asks, how far do you think the mission? Do you think missions for ground vehicles that Elliot Maltby was working on are? Oh, how far out do you think missions for ground vehicles that Elliot was working on are in production?
This far. This far.
R. Yeah, sorry. Soon.
TM.
I actually before we recorded this, I said that there's next patch, CIG soon, and then soon. If CIG says next patch, it's you got a 50-50 shot it's going to hit next patch. If they say soon, but everyone at CIG, multiple departments are all saying this is coming soon, you've got between 3 months and 2 years that's going to be coming out. And if they just say, if one person says soon, then you have no fucking idea. No one has any fucking idea. They're just saying it so you don't get mad at them.
Yep.
And so I think the fact that Elliot is talking about this and the monthly reports have talked extensively about vehicle usage by NPCs, and that CIG started adding, for those of you who don't do this, because not many people do, almost all of the derelict outposts have NPC parked, or NPC owned but not operated Ursas on them.
Yep.
You can just find
and
Ursas.
There's that what he said, that's scientific too. This has been happening long enough for there to actually be a real mathematical symbol right there next to multiply and divide and subtract. And it's something you take the number of features that CIG has told you they're going to deliver, and then you use this new symbol that they've created called the quantum, as they should. And then you add in the day of the year that it is, and you'll get an answer that generally tells you when to expect features coming. And usually that answer is soon.
You got to click your heels though and spin 3 times.
I do have to respond to this by saying Castra. The method works, man. All right, I'm just saying. But yeah, generally speaking, if CIG is talking about it more and it's across multiple departments, it means that they're actually developing it. It's not like Elliot's doing it for shits and giggles on his side. It's like it's a somewhat of a priority that could direct completely off skew because Chris decides he plays the latest Dark Souls game and decides to fuck everything up. But it's more than likely going to be, I would say, based off of what I've heard from monthly reports and seen what they've talked about, those vehicle-based will probably get a very bare-bones basic version before the end of next year. Not fun, not interesting, not engaging, a proof of concept that they'll release.
Yeah, I was thinking over the summer.
Yeah.
We could probably see some new missions come in.
You can also see what they were planning like 12 months ago, like bounty hunting, the hacking. Like there was things that were coming that they kind of got pushed off to the side for base building.
Yeah.
So I think remember how we had the trolleys going around in the ISC for the delivering of the pods and stuff. So that'll come back around.
Also, they worked on the Hawk
and the hacking.
The Hawk, the Hawk's not going to have a seat anymore. It's now going to be an actual pod storage. Yeah.
Yeah. So bounty hunting's one, hacking would have to be another one. Medical was there, and that's had a lot more done to it. But I think that's a bit easier than the other two. I don't know if you guys think the same, but I think hacking will come back around and bounty hunting next year.
I'm done talking about hacking, man.
I will continue to say the same thing that I've always said about hacking. I didn't like their approach to hacking. I'm glad that they've taken that feedback and removed from it. I still think they can do a classic cyberpunk style deck system where you have different decks you can build to hack different systems, and it's more of a matter of getting the right programs to use on the right systems to be able to overcome programs, things to make it an actual gameplay loop. The Shadowrun style system that they do in TTRPGs. I think it was in the original Cyberpunk, the one that is Cyberpunk 2077. That TTRPG had similar system of like hacking where you use decks meaning programs that you have. So
I think it's salvage 2.0 to me at this point. The amount of times it's been not delivered.
Not delivered.
Yeah.
I think when it is delivered, it will be. I'm hoping it'll be better than just Pac-Man, because that was an awful choice. That was an awful choice.
Since then they had said that they were redesigning it to basically be you would inject code that would pretend to be the person who was supposed to be actually doing the programs on there. So like they had changed it. I think that was like in 2021 or 22. They said that. That's why, like, if they were talking about it that far back, I figured it would have been ready for at least a preview channel this year, but I guess not. Like you said, resources pulled for base building, maybe.
That's 100%. I believe that 100%.
But base building became really important because much like the vehicles and the ships and stuff like that, now when you bring a system online, so say they essentially bring medical online, you can cross-pollinate it out between the ships, the vehicles, and all that. And so more of the same things will come online at the same time. And then essentially they can move from one gameplay to the other. Less work.
All right.
Yeah.
We've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 questions left. And I think some of these are going to be pretty quick. Actually, 11 questions, because some of them are still like, hey, I put question in my question. Jock Cop asks, has the release of the Polaris been a wake-up call for people about crewing and running large or capital ships? No.
Not for us, no.
I think some people.
I think
yeah, some.
I do think it'll be 4. Or the release of 3.24.3 and 4.0 that will actually make them go, oh shit.
And engineering.
Yeah. And engineering for sure. I think it's going to be a slow revelation over the course of the next 3 to 6 months that people will go, oh shit.
Yeah, definitely. It's a slow revelation kind of thing. It'll happen for everyone at a different time. But this year, I guess 2025 will be the year of the large ship reckoning, when people start to finally recognize it.
All right. Steve That Answer asks, what do you think the black silhouette for the prospector ship is? I've heard that's called the Misfortune. Was the theory? The one that looks kind of like a prospector.
I've seen people say
Misfortune. Misfortune.
And it's a salvage. It's basically it's a Pioneer but salvage.
See, the thing I have a running theory, but it is only theory. In the photo, the silhouette photo, it shows two people, and it has an elevator at the back. Why would you need an elevator at the back when it has a lift at the front on the prospector? And I think what they've done is they've blocked the door, and there's enough space to, those ring seats on the reclaimer for the scanning and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's one there for the tractor beam. So one person operates the tractor beam and the other person does the stripping. And I think the ship is tailored towards salvaging buildings, because you will need something to do that to complete the base building loop. Because you got to be able to build it, salvage it, build it, salvage it, type of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I've heard it's called the medium salvage. It may just be a buffed up.
It's smaller. It's technically smaller than the Vulture. So the thing that we've realized is the Vulture technically is a medium.
Yeah.
It's 3 meters over the pad size.
Really? The Vulture is medium?
Yeah.
If I actually opened up Hangar Link, the Vulture is actually larger than the Prospector.
See, but
now I know you could argue it's the arms.
Yeah.
But I'm talking purely based on metrics. Yeah.
But
so basically,
we're
they're
using
both
metrics.
similar.
We're using size to talk about ships now, but when we were talking about capitals earlier, it was about components. So like, where does that even change?
And that's the problem.
It's pad size, because CIG CIG is moving towards pad size. So like capitals, technically a capital requires a capital component, because capital components you cannot actually replace. They are built into the superstructure. So if you have a capital power plant, you cannot remove it. So they want to make sure that those ships have value in a different way, but then it also comes to size. So like the longer,
S5 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I like to describe it, which is going to make sense to nobody except for people who like Mech Warrior, is that the size characteristic of like the capital, medium, large, small ships, that is more about the general characteristics, kind of like tonnage, like light, medium, heavy assault mechs. And then the pad size is going to be your like kind of like the difference between omni mechs and regular mechs, like intersphere mechs, where like you're looking at completely different purposes, or sometimes different like arrangements, because you can have like a big heavy mech in battle mech that is basically an assault mech, but it just doesn't have the weight, so.
And we had that confusion too between how they said like they had internal sizes that were called the same names as ours, and then the external ones, and a dev would say medium, and then all of a sudden was it do you mean the internal medium or the external medium?
Yeah.
So that's why they now go 1 through to 6.
Yeah. So pad 1 instead of saying extra
S1
small,
through to S6.
they say size 1 through 6. So like a snub is size 1, a fighter is size 2, medium, what we call medium is like a size 3 or
Yeah. So technically speaking, like the Prospect is an S2 and the Vulture falls into S3. So
All right. Next question comes from Socially Confused, who asks, we are currently in game. Were there currently in game ships which are supposed to have PDSs but haven't got them yet? No, I think all the ones. Which ones?
No, I think there's a couple that are meant to have them. I think there's also a couple of concept ships that are going to get them as well.
Because the only ones
there was
can
one I was
remember
reading about yesterday. I can't remember the
Phoenix.
name, but there was the Phoenix, but there was apparently another one, and I've forgotten what it was. Someone was telling me about it yesterday. I'd have to go back through all the questions.
Surprised the 890 doesn't have them.
It does.
Oh,
yeah, it was added. So
there'll be a lot of those Origins and ships that are kind of more defensive.
Yeah, the only ones that I knew of was the 890 and the Phoenix were the only ones that I know of. So PDSs is the point defense systems, or PDCs, point defense cannons. So Reclaimer is what you're saying? Reclaimer is the one that's supposed to have it?
Oh, yes. Yes, okay. It is the Reclaimer. That is the one that came out yesterday. Yes, thank you. Who remembered that one?
Yeah, Jock Cop did.
Yep, thank you, Jock Cop. I think Jock Cop was in the stream yesterday, so he probably remembers it.
All right. Yep. Narrator or Nator Brits asks, pretend Polaris and the Idris cost the same. Which would you buy? Choose the Polaris.
Polaris.
They cost the same. The Idris is bigger.
If they cost the same. Yeah, it's different.
The Idris? Are you guys crazy?
I want the Polaris, man. That seems like a more doable size.
It's if you remove cost, it's always the Polaris, because like the answer is neither, but for me, just because like you need to have
what, like 1 minute.
Okay. Like 10, 15 people to run an Idris properly.
13 for a Polaris. The Idris is technically now in Squadron 42 up to 83 people, but that's all AI and NPCs. So I think it's going to be like double at least, and probably 24, somewhere in that vicinity.
So you're looking at like a small organization, like a not insignificant number of like, even if like 4.0 goes live with the, what is it, 380 it currently has in terms of people, and that's still like, a fifth of the server or something like that, or like an eighth of the server. It's a huge amount of people.
You got to remember the Cutlass Steel was a thing at some point, and that was more than half the server.
Yeah,
it was 28. So it's what you like too. Like, do you like the torpedoes, or do you like extra fighters? Like, there's no perfect ship. It's what you enjoy.
Redman asks, is there a reason why they went with a medical Terrapin rather than a medical Valkyrie? Because the Terrapin has lore that it has.
The Terrapin's the best ship in the game.
Well, because the Terrapin already has lore of it having a medical variant, and I'm dead set on believing that they were updating the Terrapin because of the new scanning gameplay that they've been working on, and so while they were working on it, they just said, "Fuck it, let's do a variant." Because they know that Tomato, because they watch all of us, they watch the Info Runners and the Space Tomato.
They do, because it's the streamers who are changing the game, Paul.
Well, I mean, my biggest problem is they don't watch enough YouTubers, because there's plenty of really good YouTubers out there that
No, they do. It freaked me out, the number of people that knew who I were straight away.
Not
It
you.
We're talking
really
about
freaked me
CIG.
out.
Well, we're talking about
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
talking about
But
talking about CIG, like devs that just went up and went execute, and I went,
well, that's because I'm saying different, because like there's you, and then there's like
Mm.
Law of the West.
mm.
Like how many? I have not seen any devs interacting with Law of the West or Texas Space.
He doesn't
Navy.
interact with many people at all. To be honest, I've reached out to him and
I know,
he just doesn't
but-
reply.
But the point to stand though, Twitch and streaming in general gets more attention than like,
Yeah.
content that you post.
And you've done
Yeah, okay.
you've done a lot of work with me and Space Tomato, and you've even reached out to other content creators and brought them on. So like it's you've had that cross exposure between different platforms.
Yeah, okay, I get you.
With info runners, we've done that in the past. Compared to someone like why am I blanking on his name? He was in my chat earlier. There's a fantastic content creator who's like bigger than me.
STL Youngblood hasn't
No.
done any cross promotion stuff.
Yeah, I think Youngblood
Maybe
has
another
him,
one.
but
Yep.
but it was like it starts with a J. I want to say JDS, but I don't know if that's right or not. But he's got like 10K subscribers, and I don't think CIG's ever reached out to him. Like, so
Dude, they just reached out to Ferrister.
just now to Ferrister.
Yes.
Not JRDS.
Yeah,
They're getting there. They're getting there.
Oh,
They're getting there.
and that's my problem, is that this is a completely separate thing. Like CIG has a blind spot, which is content creators on YouTube, because they've been so heavily focused on Twitch because it's like super popular. But YouTube has something like 80% of all gaming traffic goes through YouTube. It's like 80% of all searches on the internet goes through for gaming is on YouTube.
So Twitch isn't actually not as popular as YouTube. The other thing is they just don't have the staff to do this.
No,
I mean, Twitch is way more immediate.
Yes.
Immediate.
It's not hyper.
Benefit.
It's really like in the moment, but you're like, if someone's watching a video, like an evergreen video on Star Citizen, say talking about like the capital ships that are coming out soon, or doing a walkthrough of like the Idris or whatever, like that's something that people are going to look up over and over and over again.
Well, you can watch YouTube whenever you want. Twitch, you have to watch when they're streaming it.
Yes, but I mean, what I'm saying is that that content would give you more. If CSG reached out and talked with those folks, they would get a lot more attention to whatever they were doing, rather than just talking with streamers. Because like, if I do a giveaway, that's nice. Thank you, CIG, for doing that. And none of us are going to complain about getting free ships to give away, and it works. But it would be more impactful if it was more of a partnership or some sort of way of cross promoting or something like that, showing your work, like having morphologists sit down with some of the designers of ships and talking with them, or even just like having CIG say, hey, this ship is coming out, we want more if we're going to pay you to do a video for these sorts of things. It doesn't have to be payment, it can be little things like that. But
even just round tables would be cool if they pulled bunches of us in and
pillar talk.
Have that's how they should do pillar talk. Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh my god, that'd be a mess.
But I mean, but like the thing is there's a lot of content creators whom they do not interact with at all on YouTube, who are bigger than me. Like, and I get like, just because I know a lot of the devs, I guess, I don't know at this point, but it's just one of those.
It's the instant reaction.
I have no idea how they.
Yeah, it's the instant versus the leaving a comment thing. Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from. The effective answer is also they're not redoing the Valkyrie, so that's why they decided to do a medical terrapin. I don't think they'll ever.
The Valkyrie would be too big. It'd be like the Apollo in size.
Yeah, it already has the ability to hold a metapin or not a metapin, a NERSA. So. It doesn't need it. It already has a regen bed or the bed. Ultimate Vigilus asks, do you think they will release the Banu Trip Taker? A Banu people mover, kind of like a Genesis, but a Banu.
At IAE or
no, not at IAE, but like I don't know when.
Yes, eventually. Yeah, but it'll be this far away.
It's not even CIG soon. It's just soon. They'll release it soon.
Yeah. How big is it?
Yes.
Probably come with the Banner expansion pack.
I was trying to think if we'd see it before the Merchantman, but I doubt it.
They've never talked to anything about that. I think that's mostly a meme, unless somebody can find a link of them talking about a brand new trip taker. I think it's just a meme. Verdas asks, if cargo just falls into your cargo bay, who are you to question it? That's not a question. Oh god, the question bot.
Technically, it's a question.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. It was a statement.
Fred Schultz asks, could you give us a roundup of this naive part of chat about the brand new trip taker? I couldn't tell you what the hell they're talking about.
They've been smoking whenever the Banner's been smoking.
Yeah, you've been partaking too much in the shloma, my friend. The shlomo, the shloma, as it was called. Do you think it would be beneficial to have the Starlancer Max wings fold down when you drop the landing gear? It would reduce its width by 10 to 15 feet for landing in tighter locations.
What's that about? So the Freelancer Max is it? This is Freelancer Max or
Starlancer Max? Starlancer Max. They're asking if the wings, because if they fold up, the wings fold up, it would give you about 10 to 15 feet on.
It would be beneficial. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
if that means they should do it, but
yeah, not so much on the Freelancer because it's kind of small, but now you've got that big. It does make it quite girthy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. It would definitely make it fit into smaller spaces.
I don't think if it needs to though, because I mean, it's kind of whole shtick is to be big. It's not really a.
And again, it's not going to change
on its size.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the pad size, and it's also not landing inside other ships' hangars or anything. So again, the need kind of goes a little bit out the window, doesn't it?
Gin and Tonic asked the last question, who asks, Crusader line started out with these lovely curves in the Genesis concept and the Hercules. Over time, they've gotten more and more angular. Which aesthetic do you prefer? I agree with what we had discussed before, where I think the thing is that the smaller that it gets, the more angular it gets, but the larger it gets, the more curved it becomes. I think it's just a matter of budget and what they're trying.
So instead of cutting costs, it's cutting curves.
Yeah, it's one of those things that fits the narrative of Crusader, because Crusader is in financial trouble right now for a lot of reasons, and it also fits with the aesthetic that they wanted to go for, where Crusader's got this sort of higher end, it's sleek, and then when it gets smaller, it becomes more boxy. I think that's really it's kind of like mimics how cars actually are designed, where high-end sports models, sports cars are incredibly smooth. You barely have any edges on them at all. Whereas when you get into not even like racing cars, just like aesthetically pleasing, expensive cars. And then when you get down to, budget models, you're looking at a lot of boxes on wheels. So, yeah.
No, I agree.
That is the last question. So we almost nailed the exact length of both the question and answer session is almost the exact same length as the main discussion. So
wow.
Yeah. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Thank you to Execute, and of course the Inferners in general for coming by. Thank you for Space Tomato for coming by. Make sure you check out the youtube.com/theinferners, and of course Space Tomato everywhere where Space Tomatoes are found. Usually on YouTube and Twitch, but all of YouTube and Twitch.
Space Gardens.
The Galactic Garden.
The Galactic Garden Initiative, right?
Yes.
Your organization.
#join GII.
And if you enjoyed this, please hit that follow button on Twitch. If you're watching this after the fact, hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Subscribe for more content and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. As always, I want to hear your thoughts on any of these questions down below in the comments. And if you did enjoy this a lot, make sure you check us live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropubLive, on Saturdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come on and join chat and ask your own questions to whatever cast. Next week, we'll be talking with a brand new cast about IAE, just kind of going over IAE and talking about what's going on and everything else like that. And then we'll go over kind of like the beginning of IAE and then the end of IAE. And if you want to check us all out, sometimes together, you can check out the Inforunners throughout the entirety of not next week, but the week after next, starting next Friday. Where we'll be doing daily coverage of what's going on at IAE.
Whole bunch of coverage.
Thank you for joining us. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.